What What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special edition of Planet Xbox Podcast. I am your host, Bestbot Kid Smooth. Got my co-host, ILP Lord Gaming Addict. What is up?
What's going on, man? Make sure that they hear me in the OBS. Don't be messing this up. I don't have time to do this twice. Okay.
I think they can hear you. Yeah. Say
We good.
hello.
Hello. What's
Yeah,
going
they
on,
can.
guys? We have both beat Indiana Jones, so don't go in there asking how far we have. We're like 30 seconds in the video, and being very clear, both of us beat the damn game.
Yes, this is a Indiana Jones and the Great Circle edition of Planet Xbox Podcast today. That is the game we've been playing for the past couple days. The game was delivered to us on Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wrapped. I know you wrapped up yours before me. I wrapped up mine's last night. Man, there's so many directions we can go with this game. But first, let's. You played on Xbox, correct, or PC?
I played it on Xbox.
Okay, same here. Difficulty level for action and for
the
adventure.
one before the hardest.
The one before. So you played on hard action.
Yeah.
And the adventure difficulty, what did you use?
The adventure difficulty, I used everything was the puzzles was on the base, and the adventure difficulty was the third one because there's 4, right?
No, there's only 2. There's 10. It becomes once you start messing with things like optional things, you turn it turns into a custom difficulty. So like the set that they gave you light and they gave you moderate. But if you adjusted anything, like in regards to, let's say, like if you adjusted, like, you know how I added the objective ping. The minute I flipped that on, it changed the difficulty from moderate to just custom. So I kept a moderate difficulty, but the only adjustment I made was the objective. Whatchamacallit. So, oh man, should I have gameplay playing through? Because I don't
think it matters.
Yeah, because I want to. I could definitely bring up some. I'll definitely put up some gameplay. Because the music and all that other stuff. This, believe it or not, Indiana Jones does have licensed music. It belongs to Lucas and everything, but that it could potentially come up as flagged. That's why there is a streamer mode available for this game, if you guys, for those interested. So, were you able to see how many hours you put into Indiana Jones?
No, is there a way you could see?
No, but the Xbox year in review came out, and Indiana Jones lands at number 5 in terms of time play. It's in my most played games of 2024 already. So
yeah, it won't. I didn't see Indiana Jones on mine, so. And right now, there's still not a. For those of you that don't know, you don't have access to any kind of stats or anything.
Yeah.
If you play on a review copy, most of the time, they don't even show you the achievements until the game comes out.
Yeah, so, man, that's why I was afraid. I was like, damn, am I even gonna earn an achievement? But the achievements were popping. It's just that they're not visible to the people, and I think more so because the type of game it is. Spoiler, for spoiler protections, they're not gonna unlock them until probably at the time of this we go live, they should be available. The achievements will be available to see, but based off my count, I think I'm at like somewhere between 540 and 560 gamer score, and I'm gonna finish my run. Like, I obviously beat the game. It's an enjoyable game, really enjoyable. We're gonna get to that.
25 hours is what I've done.
If you did 25 hours, I know I had to have done at least 32. I only say that because I wasted hours on some side puzzles.
It tells you in the game.
Oh, does it? Oh, let me.
Yeah, if you press start and go to game slots, it will tell you like the empty slots. So yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, there's a lot of stuff that we'll get into with this game. You know, I do feel this game surprised me
Yeah.
because the past like 6 months to a year, almost every time people see me talk about this game, it's been bad. Like, and it's not that I thought this game was going to be like coming out hot garbage. Just I didn't feel like this game was going to appeal to me whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pleasantly surprised, man. I'm pleasantly surprised. I think that Indiana Jones is going to be a solid experience for a lot of people, and then some people it's going to disappoint because there are certain things in this game that I wasn't feeling too much. Yeah, but we'll get into that too in a little bit because I think Smooth's over here trying to see how many hours it took him to beat Indiana Jones.
Oh, it says 24 hours. Okay. All right. I thought I was in there longer than that. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, it took me 22 or 23 or something like that. I had to like scroll back and look at it. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm actually I'm relatively surprised at that. All right, so let's get into it. Like, so how do you want to break this down regarding Indiana Jones? Like, do you want to talk about we want to start with characters? Do you want to talk about like story, gameplay? Where do you want to tackle first, or do you want to talk about the things you don't like? I'm curious. You heard me?
Just keep talking. I'm having serious issues with my mic.
Gotcha. All right, so pretty much in regards to like Indiana Jones, I think the thing I want to get out the way is more so of what it isn't, right? And this is I at the time of this this podcast, I don't know what the Metascore is and whatnot, but I had my thoughts of what I thought how people would rate this game, and I think people, again, going into Indiana Jones, they're going into it with a slight disappointment because it isn't Uncharted, it isn't Tomb Raider, it's not a third-person action adventure game, and I think that's what people are why people are dismissing the game. But
all right, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. So, but the thing is that I feel like for what the game is, I feel like Machine Games executed what they needed to do for this game, especially for them deciding, hey, we're gonna make our version of Indiana Jones, and it's gonna be our flavor. It's gonna be first person. I think they did a wonderful job. Because literally, like, I want to say 40 minutes into the game, it didn't matter to me anymore. I think the game has a wonderful gameplay loop. And it's well balanced in terms of what you're seeing in first person, when it goes into third person, the combinations of gameplay styles that occur throughout the game. I feel like it's well balanced to the point it never got dull for me, and that's why I walk away more impressed. Like I said, I had some things that I didn't like, and I'll touch up on those. But at this point, looking back at it, it's relatively minor. But I want to hear from you your initial like thoughts in regards to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
I think what it comes down to is just a matter of what you enjoy from the experience. I do think that this game was heavily marketed as that's what I'm looking for. It was marketed heavily as a stealth game.
The words they used was adventure action. They made sure to put adventure in front of action.
But let's be honest here, like a lot of the systems like encourages you to stealth.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
For instance, the guns, it's not that the guns aren't capable. There's just, you're outnumbered almost in every scenario, like 5 or 6 to 1. So you could use a gun and headshots don't do as much as I think they should. But you could use a gun, but at the end of the day, it's best if you're in situations where you need a gun, you might just reload the last checkpoint. Like,
yeah, so let's break it down this way because some people might be lost on what we're talking about. I think the summary of the game to me is like, all right, it's an adventure action game that the way that the game is designed, Indiana Jones is not a freaking machine gun wielding freaking shoot 'em up Rambo. He is not that. He's a regular archaeologist. His specialty is his whip, his dukes, and his wits. The thing about it is the way the game, how the game works is most of the stuff you're going to be doing is obviously there's going to be puzzles, there's going to be platforming, traversing. There is the game is combat heavy, but the combat is more so melee combat. The world is like laced with pickable items you could pick up, like random things. It'll be hammers, sticks, bats, sledgehammer, anything, glass bottles you could pick up and just either use as a weapon or as a distraction. Sure, Indiana Jones has a gun. The ammo is very limited. You can use it, but it's not ideal. One thing I noticed about this game is when you do engage in gun combat or explosive, that initiates the AI to use their guns. They will not use their guns unless you're going against Nazi soldiers. They will not use guns until you draw a gun.
They will. Sometimes,
but it has to be a Nazi soldier because I've tested this like a couple times. Unless you're obviously later missions where you're just dealing with like soldiers. That's one thing, but in general, you could have like regular, like low tier soldiers who have literally rifles on their back or pistols on them, and they won't draw unless you draw or if you use something that's an explosive. Like I remember, I threw an explosive. I thought I could store the explosive, but you had to like ignite it. I threw it. The minute I did that, everyone on the map literally drew a firearm or picked up a firearm. But pretty much what I'm trying to say is the game's the form of combat the game wants you to take is melee, and yeah, you can use a gun, but it's at the last resort. You don't have you're not always going to have a firearm handy. Yeah, you can find them available. You use that weapon literally until the ammo runs out, and after that, it just becomes a melee weapon. The scenarios.
To be honest with you, your best bet when you have a gun. This is one of the very few sections in the game where that I've seen in games in general where you can actually flip the gun around and use it as a weapon. You press X. I don't know what it will be on PC, but I actually feel that weapons are way more useful as a blunt object than they are to shoot people in this game.
The issue I had is that
the shotgun does a good amount of damage. There are enemies in the game that take some damage.
Yeah,
you might want to shoot one of them, but besides that, no.
I think the weapons, the guns aren't as lethal as they should be. I feel like because they're sparse.
See, that's where I disagree, and I agree. If you fight someone in this game that I've noticed that doesn't have one of those hats on, they will die from one shot kill. But even though I think that's annoying, it makes sense because those are literally combat helmets. They're made to resist bullets. I don't. But if you notice, Smooth, if you shoot them two, maybe 3 bullets with the Uzi, they'll drop instantly.
Now I got gameplay posted on my review, where I highlighted the issue I had was doing point blank headshots to enemies and they weren't dropping. I had an easier time punching them out.
Did they have that helmet on? Because I stopped using guns. You probably use guns a lot more.
No. I pretty much you bobbed and weaved because the thing is that this game has similar mechanics to Callisto Protocol. And I enjoyed fighting my way through Indiana Jones and guns. Guns, like I said, I rarely. There was only 2 cases where I felt like I needed to use guns, where I kind of just gave up on the stealth and I needed to get out of this particular area. It was surrounded by soldiers, and I just kind of had to do what I had to do. And then more so towards the end of the game, that section, I end up having to take out because they have them laying around all in the military camps. Because the minute you got caught, they typically were drawing weapons, so I wasn't going to be able to outpunch them. But yeah, man, for this game to be done by Machine Games, the gunplay, like I said, to me, even though the guns feel good to me, it was very it was disappointing. But I think they made it that way to pretty much shine some light on the melee combat, which is fun. I do think it is the preferred way to play. They try to mix things up by giving you lots of ways to play. Whether you want to sneak around, I do not think the stealthing in the game is not good at all. It's not the greatest. So
no, I gotta push back on that. The stealthing to this game, in terms of if that's what's drawing you in, this isn't the game for you. Is it horrible? No, but there's far better stealth games that if you haven't played, you should go play before this game. Dishonored's, Hitman's, it's just what I don't like about this game is you don't have the option to choke someone out from the start. You can get a book to unlock that ability, but to me, that's the biggest issue with this is in my opinion, and maybe the chat can put in the comment section, I believe they have heavily marketed this game as kind of a stealth as you go type of game. Maybe they didn't market it as
they want you to sneak around. It's designed for you to sneak around and whatnot.
And I feel you have to have a weapon to knock someone out. Now,
not necessarily true. The reason why, because you got to hold down the trigger button to wind up your punch. I would sneak up on people, hold down the R button, and do a solid punch to the back of the head, and that would be enough to knock them out.
Well, I think the key scenarios is anyone. That might have been one of the lower infantry people.
You gotta have tiers.
But once you get into the later parts of the games, you're not going to come across those type of people anymore. Most of those people.
Yeah, because they got a lot of heavies that they start.
But that's my point. This game will penalize you for making noise. Now, the AI is completely ignorant, but they do hear it. And sometimes if you make enough noise, this is one of those games where the part that annoys me the most, because I enjoyed the game, but I didn't play it as a stealth game. I played it as I'm a hide. I'm gonna sneak around, knock as many of them out as I can, and when I get seen, it is what it is. And most of the time, that's what worked for me.
I played this like how I played the recent games I played. I played it like how I played Star Wars Outlaws and how I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Only because these games, Star Wars, when it launched, not now, but when it launched, they wanted you to stealth more. If you pretty much telling me, hey, you want me to stealth, that's where the game is specialized in. I'm a play closer to that level, even though I like shooting them up and stuff like that. I tested my limits or tested to all right, is it possible to get through this game playing it as if I was playing it Doom with just two fists and a whip? Could I play through like that? You can. You can, but it's just not. It's not ideal. Sometimes I want to sneak around. Sometimes I want to look at other ways I can get through the mission, or to get certain executions pulled off and whatnot. But the thing is, but playing Indiana Jones, I think anybody who would be interested in Indiana Jones as a video game, I think it was more so really for the character, the story, and essentially the world, because this game has, to me, in my opinion, a fun factor. It's casual. It can be challenging. You can, with the difficulty setting, you can challenge yourself in this game, but I feel like it is more casual. They just did a bang 'em up job. I just love the gameplay loop, and I really love the story. And I am a big fan of the visual. I think they did a good job graphically. When I was doing the previews, I wasn't impressed, but playing the game firsthand and seeing, the game being able to maintain 60 FPS for the game, be able to maintain that high resolution. It looks like the game they got like ray tracing going on, even on like the consoles for sure. I'm like, yeah, this is like a relatively impressive. Like, I mean, I can say personally for the game, it's one of my favorite games this year because it's different. It's just it's different. There's nothing like it right now. I'm sure there's other games that can inspire it. Whether I know somebody said like Thief or something like that. There's nothing quite like it. When we first learned that, when the first preview came out and they said adventure action, I'm like, man, this is probably going to be a high quality first person puzzler game, right? You know how like the indie games we get on like Xbox and stuff like that, those first person puzzle games that come out every so often. I'm like, well, maybe we're just gonna get like a budgeted, like not budgeted, but a high budget version of that. And I think they obviously blew past that expectation. I think what they did, I do think they created something like well-rounded, because I feel like there's a lot going on, and it's, to me, in my opinion, I feel like it's put together very well between the puzzles, the platforming, the combat, and the way that the story is told is high production value story. I think everyone, the character development, the way that they brought you to these different biomes and the way that the story flowed, it all makes sense. Nothing seemed too out of the ordinary. They threw different things at you. They didn't in my opinion, I don't feel like they let the game get stale. Not only because you have the multiple ways you can play, but they threw different things at you. Each level you went to, whether you were in Giza, that's where you got like the lighter, right? Where you were in South Asia is where you got the little rebreather. And then I think the Vatican, you got the camera. So each place you went to gave you something of significance that enhanced the gameplay. So, by the end of the game, you had a lot of stuff in your arsenal, a lot of different things you can do. Anybody who's an achievement hunter or trophy hunter, or who loves collectibles, who love loot, this game is for you, because there's a lot of nook and crannies. There's a lot of collectibles. There's a lot of secret items and challenges to get some of those items, that adds to the replayability here.
Yeah, I agree. It comes down to it. My biggest issue with Indiana Jones was just the stealth mechanic of it. Mm-hmm. I feel like they could have really improved that. I also want to nitpick a little bit in terms of how they did the books. Like, for those of you that don't know, the way you get abilities and skills in this game is you use books that are throughout the game, and you use this currency that you've been building called adventure points.
Yep.
And
I got a lot of them.
You're able to unlock, skills. I feel like this was a mistake. What they should have done is they should have had a skill tree, and then when you get the books, it unlocks a skill point to put into the skill tree. I feel like the biggest issue I had with this game is I couldn't play indie the way I wanted to play indie. But the game becomes substantially better as a stealth game once you get some of these abilities. Rand told me there's an ability where you take a whip and you can knock people out with your whip behind them. Like the reach and everything. So it's just like, huh?
Wait, what do you mean? There's an ability to, I'm just curious if I have
your whip and put it around their neck from behind them and knock them out.
Yeah, okay, I have that.
Yeah, so okay. I didn't get that. Apparently it's in the first area of the game. To me, if they would have had all of these skills on a skill tree, and they would have, kind of mainstreamed the adventure points, the skill points, you could strategically plan how you want to build your indie. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could have made more perks with guns, more perks with adventure, because the perks are good.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to find them.
But that's what it is, though. It's an adventure action game. So that's why I get where you're coming from. I do get where you're coming from. If this was a traditional sort of a game, or those, a action RPG or RPG light, where everything's based around skill points. And my thing is, or skill tree. I feel like this was a good take on it, because a traditional game, this would just be a skill tree that you just unlock. I feel like they're putting, and that's literally what adds time and value to the game, because they spread out these books all throughout like these areas. Some of them are behind puzzles, some of them are behind like secret entrances that you have to open up.
And I understand you do equipment that way. You do unique equipment, maybe a unique whip. You don't put the keys to the kingdom, which is the skills of Indiana Jones, behind collectibles. Because to me, okay, maybe you put some of the best behind collectibles, some of the best behind mysteries, because there are some good puzzles. We'll get to that here in a minute. Mm-hmm. But some of the most basic skills that you really need to make this game better, one of them, just to choke a motherfucker out, is damn near at the end of the game. Did you see that?
No, I still got a couple books to collect. I think I think I maxed out maybe one or two of the features. I don't know if it was either I feel like I maxed out something like maybe my packing, or the amount of stuff I can carry and whatnot. And I think the stuff that has to do with fighting, I forget what that is called, and health.
That's my biggest issue. It's like, with these scenarios, these games, these books, if they would have just made a better mainstream option to get these books, I feel like, because I'm looking at it past me. I'm looking at the everyday person. When they go into this and they're implementing these stealth mechanics, but they don't have the basic stealth mechanic where you just choke people out. Like, from as long as I can remember, a stealth mechanic, the basic stealth mechanic, is coming up on someone that is unaware you're there, choking them out, and then hiding their body. Would you not agree? That's like,
yeah.
That is the basic. Why ain't that there? You need a weapon. And what it is like, when you're behind them, you'll have like a 2 dot become a 1 dot. And that means you can lay this bitch out. And what I mean, the animations are good, and I think Smooth can attest to that. Like, you'll trip them. Some of the times you hit them in the nuts.
Yeah.
And then they fall down, and then you bang them on the head. Like, those are great, and that's fine. But imagine if, like, the beginning, it was like, instead of that, it was a skill tree, and you could see all the execution animations. Do you want to use your whip as an execution style? Do you want to use your arms as an execution style? And they just let you pick one of them with the first skill point, instead of making you go look and play Where's Waldo to be able to use your hands to knock someone out.
I get it, but again, the issue that I have with what you want is what you get in every game. And I feel like they put their own spin and take on how to upgrade Indiana Jones's ability, and I think it works for the type of game it is. It's an adventure action game. They want you looking around. They want you exploring and finding secret. And again, for a person like me who plays a lot of these type of games, I like to be rewarded for looking for shit. Like, I was ahead of you in the game, and then I ended up beating the game a whole day after you, because the time, I don't want to say wasted, but time I spent looking for things before I finished the area.
It's funny because obviously, ILP did one. We had me, Ka, King, Saab, and Randolph Thor on it. And there's a section of the game, and I'm not trying to like spoil anything, but a lot of the main items in the game you have to buy with your own money. Yeah. And one of them was like
in-game money, in-game currency.
In-game currency. Yeah. And Smooth, don't say how much it is. But there's one towards the end that's like, you sit there and be like, yo, that's a lot of money. Like, and what's funny is it's one of those things where you could have it, because Rand said he had it, but he was buying a lot of like the pamphlets that show you where mysteries are.
Yeah, I knew he was doing that.
A bunch of them right before then, and then they're like, he got 100 left, and they're like, we want X amount, and he's like, dude, that's like 15 times what I had. But what I will say and what I respect on this is there's a lot of games They'll be like, we want X amount. We're not going to help you get that. Go out there and grind. Come back when you got that money. They do give you a quest. They're like, look, you don't got the money. We know where some money is that you can steal. So I enjoy that. And I think it's interesting that, they even, make it where you have to buy. Because that's realistic. A lot of games don't really have realism when it comes to, people aren't just randomly giving you stuff when you're going throughout your day. You have to get a lot of the stuff. Most of the time you would have
look how they did, but the thing is, that's another way of forcing the gamer to explore. Because if you think about it, like you get introduced to these items that you need, like the lighter, the camera, and stuff like that, fairly early. And every item, essential item. When I say essential, this is required for you to get through the game. They put a charge on it, and you earn money doing regular missions, but you get money for doing side quests. So I end up doing every side quest in every area for the extra money. But the thing is, and that's some of the things I did. Like the first one, because I couldn't afford the camera when I first came across it, and then I just started doing random stuff. Actually one of the things I ended up doing to get the camera was I went to the military base in Vatican City and went into the military camps and just started stealing their chains that they had lying around. I stole enough to make the camera affordable for me, but. I feel like the game does some cool, unique things that forces the player to engage, that forces the player to really step out and look. And I feel like the way the world is designed, there's things that are missable, but you are really encouraged to look around and see, and you'll be relatively surprised of like some of the stuff you come across. Some of the quests, some of these side quests are. Oh man, I hope you did this quest, man. I'm just gonna mention one thing to you. Did you run into a student
in the first area?
Nah, I want to say maybe the third area.
No, I didn't.
Oh man, that quest was. The thing is, I forget it was just a side quest, but I'm glad I did it. But some of these things. Remember, I told you I had an issue with the way that. One of the characters that the game does, I feel like it does a good job of character building. They, built up a character, one of the antagonists. I just didn't like the way they, resolve that issue without without the player's true input. I had an issue with that, and that when I was playing, I was like, man, I hope they don't, finish off the game in that type of way where we're not going to be as involved, but that's clearly not the case. What did you think about that and some of the characters? Do you have any comments on the characters you come across in the game?
Boss, the main antagonist, I felt like besides Indy, he was the star of the show. Cause sometimes it would get to the point where I'm not even like, is this dude even mess with the Nazis like that? Is he just using them for his own goals? He would be sit there and I love this. There's this one incident at the beginning, and I'll keep it very short because I don't want to I don't want to ruin anything for anyone.
Yeah.
But there's a scenario at the beginning where Voss is arguing with another soldier, and the soldier pulls up on him and was like, "You're done. I'm done with you." And Voss turns around. And he says, "What you gonna do? Do you think about this? How do you think this is gonna work out?" He's like, "Are they gonna believe you?" And it just shows you on the scenarios where it's it's not that they're stupid. He's just drastically smarter than that.
Yeah. He's a character for a villain that he is. He's very comical, dude. Especially, I was surprised even towards like the end, some of his antics. You paid attention to his special moves. When he tells you what he knows.
Yeah, he's actually he's a bigger problem than I initially anticipated. There's a scenario where you do have to fight him. Obviously, he's the bad guy, so I don't think that's really spoiled.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yo, this dude got moves.
Yeah. There is a couple. We talked about when we were playing the game. You talked about some of the set pieces. I do think to you, it sounded like to you they were underwhelming. I did enjoy some of the set pieces that came across the game. I feel like, and there's quite a few of them too. of these set pieces. They're not as, I would say, long or as expansive as what you would see in like Uncharted 4, but these moments, they happen, and I feel like they're enough for you to appreciate, or for me to appreciate it. What are your thoughts on some of the set pieces that occurred in this game?
Obviously, this game is going to naturally get compared to Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that they're on level with Uncharted set pieces, but Uncharted just does them better in terms of anticipation, the length of them.
Yeah.
I did feel like by the time the set pieces were starting to settle in, they're over.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only big, but I still enjoyed them, and the issue here is I enjoyed them so much I wanted more of it.
Yeah.
But there are some really awesome set pieces. There's a set piece with like a mountain. I'm not going to go into it. The set pieces. There's multiple set pieces in this game that I'm like, yo, that was cool.
Yeah.
But once again, like, you know, if Machine Game's able to make another Indiana Jones game, like, focus more on those set pieces, because those are the highlights of the games. I just need more of those, not less.
Yeah, and also recipes to Tony Todd. He did a wonderful job in this game as well. He's not to be upstaged. Obviously, Trey Baker with Indiana Jones, whoever playing Gina, a wonderful job. Gina is the character you're pretty much gonna. That's pretty much, I don't want to say companion, but she does like accompany Indiana Jones quite a few throughout this game, and her plot line, her story is well written, well incorporated into this game. Voss, like, again, star of the game, and then just some of the characters that they have in some of the stories. The things that more so I would say that the only thing I didn't really care too much about the game, right, is the fact that I think towards the second half of the game, that part where you kind of have to like start riding around in the boat. I feel like that bogged down the game, because the thing is, I hate when.
And can Jack Moose see this room?
Can he see it? I'm sure he can. Why?
Yeah, I asked him to jump in here and ask us a couple questions, because I think since he has never played it, it would be nice to have someone in here that wants to play it, to like bounce off of us.
Yeah. There's I would say, I didn't like you know how when games have that moment where they put you into a like a vehicle or horse or something, where you're forced to like kind of travel around in this vehicle. I feel like that part of the game I didn't like, because I feel like it bogged it down and it slowed me down, and I feel like I was on this like,
I feel like the way
pace.
Indiana Jones, like, I think it's more realistic than like an Uncharted or something, because Indiana Jones, he's not light, you know, he's not big either. I did feel like jumping on, like, doing the rope stuff took way too long. You know, I was feeling like I was gonna have to like get up and do jumping jacks myself. But I did feel like it slowed the pacing down dramatically when like you have to climb 3 different things back to back, and you just like.
I will say that the traversing in the game, I feel like it's only one speed. Like, so no matter whether you're climbing regular or you're holding down the button to add speed to it, there's no way. Your stamina is going down a lot faster, but I didn't feel like the speed increased tremendously. And I feel like that was an adjustment or a tweak they should have made to sort of speed things up. But the thing is that when you get into these modes, I feel like a lot of these occurrences that switches the perspective of the game does help. You know, I felt like it helped the immersion, and it provided enough of a blend of a balance of the game where it's like, you know, I'm not bummed that it's the first person, and you see enough of Indy for the stuff that we like to do, that we like to see in these type of games. You know, he's visible, or the full character model is visible, and it's one of those type of games where you look down, you see legs, right? You look down, like you look to the left, you see parts and whatnot.
Are you there? Are you waiting for us to like?
Yo.
What up, Jack Move?
Yeah,
what's
Jack?
good?
So
what's good?
I wanted to bring Jack in because I do feel like I like when someone that's kind of wanting to play the game. I don't know if Jack wants to play the game, just intrigued by it.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to ask us questions that would get you more or to playing it or to not playing it, because I feel like the people we try to reach is like the everyday consumer. Like
Well, Jack got access to it. He better be able to play this. You're on PC Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't have a membership right now, but yeah, I dabble in the PC Game Pass. Yeah, I definitely do. Let me see some questions. Let me think. Okay, how about this? I'm not too familiar with the whole lore of Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I might have not necessarily seen the movies like that. Would that hinder my experience with this game?
Absolutely not.
No, only because I think because of it may, I don't want to say hinder. It's just some. If you know the movies, you'll appreciate some of the side characters that pop up and stuff like that.
Yeah. More, but as far as me, I don't remember anything about the movies, and I didn't feel at one point in time that I was like, oh God, I don't know what's going on. At all times, I felt like I had a grasp on what was going on.
I'm gonna say story wise, no. I think what people appreciate it is more so like the scenery of like the college that he teaches at. Obviously, that's straight from the movies. Some of the places that he's been, like some my Easter eggs that's found in his notes and journals. Some of the things he refers to, like when he's talking to other characters, they're coming from stuff that happened in the movie, but not anything. It's not like, damn, I have to see this movie.
Your experience, not hinder it.
Yeah. It can only enhance it. It won't ruin. You're not. It's not like you're missing something.
Okay. Let me see. I feel like y'all probably touched on a lot of questions I got. Okay, how about this? Is the story of the game in the forefront, or is it more like, it's kind of an afterthought? Like,
no,
you know what I mean? Like,
I would. It's the first pillar of the game. I would say it's the story.
The story is pretty much. How can if I had to rate this right in terms, how we just had that episode of Weapon Wheel where we rated what we value most in games, right?
Yes.
For Indiana Jones, it's like when they developed this game, they said, all right, we're going to do story, character development, priority, gameplay second, music is important because they just ripped the soundtrack. So it's there because obviously it's Indiana Jones, but I would say graphics last. And I'm not saying graphics last because the game looked bad. It's just more so what machine games don't tell good stories. But when you play this, it's like, nah, they had to hire somebody because this is an incredible this is better than a lot of the movies. Just giving you a heads up.
What I will say, Jack.
Jack, do you remember any Wolfenstein story?
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
It wasn't nothing too crazy.
Not too crazy, but this is literally story. Like reason why I said this because they did a lot of good character development. All the primary people, obviously Indiana Jones has his story and what's leading him on his journey, right? Things that occur. You have the characters you run. Obviously, a lot of these adventure games, you got to get yourself a freaking companion or whatever. The girl Gina, she has her story and she has her own personal agenda of going on that you have to assist her, and I think that's integrated into Indy's story very well. And then you got obviously the villain and his plot line and what his story is. There, everything comes together very well, and every character is whoever's playing all these characters, even Tony Todd's character, and he's a man of like limited words throughout this movie. This game is all well done. So I would say story is priority. If anybody's going to get through this game, right, the main factor, the main point of this game is really the story, because this is supposed to be literally like, hey, we're making up a story that took place between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. And if I had to rank this like as the story, like I said, is better than some of the movies, especially better than the last movie that came out like a couple years ago. So if you enjoy Indiana Jones as far as like the movies, if you enjoy games for story, they knocked the story out of the park with this one. So it's not an afterthought. It's not an afterthought.
Yeah, I would say that this is like a step above, and I think that people's gonna like get a little bit confused by this statement. I think it's a step above like something like an Until Dawn, where it's not necessarily like an interactive movie. There is a lot of gameplay between cutscenes, but there is a substantial amount of cutscenes, and it is a very interactive game. Like sometimes you'll pick up a piece of paper, Jack, cutscene. He'll like read the paper, put it down. Like it is a very interactive game.
What they do also, just to follow up on that, the way that they do the cutscenes, you know how there was a report or a story that said, Indiana Jones has 4 hours of cutscenes. That it's not like you're watching like a freaking Kojima type thing. No, they're well placed. So they have the way that they do cutscenes. They try to do it to a point where you don't put the controller down. So something will happen, and then midway through the cutscene, you might have to do an interaction or something to keep engaged with it. You know what I mean? So they're like well paced, so the person's not either going or like putting the controller down or going to sleep. You might have to there's not surprisingly not too many QTEs outside of like the beginning tutorial, because everything else is more so real time. But yeah, no, I forgot what the freaking the point is that the cutscenes, they're meant to keep you engaged, and all the people that they got into this video game, and again they did tell a good story, so it was. I appreciate the cutscenes, and they are skippable. So but you wouldn't want to do that though.
I got another question. Now y'all probably already touched on this, so this might just be a yes or no answer.
Yep.
We know how the streets talking about this game. It's getting compared heavily to Uncharted, right? And rightfully so. Uncharted was based off Indiana Jones.
Yep.
So my question, like I said, y'all might already touched on this. Does this game do enough, aside from like the perspective, does this game do enough to set itself aside from a Uncharted or a Tomb Raider, or is it a totally different experience?
Can I just take that first?
Go take it first,
Yes,
Addict.
It definitely does enough to set itself apart. Some ways good, some ways bad. I feel like Uncharted was always about like, the adventure, the killing, the combat, the gun combat. I always felt like he did the treasure hunting things in the side, like it so happens that this leads you to a treasure hunter stuff.
Yeah,
I've never felt like he was an actual treasure hunter. Like, the puzzles was big in Uncharted, but I feel like Indy in this game is an actual treasure hunter. Like that's his goal, like his primary goal, and that's what the gameplay's primary goal. Like they don't have you shooting dozens and become a mass murderer, shoot 30, 40 people. Like most of the time in encounters, and I don't know, Smooth, like the max you'll face is like 8 or 9 people at the same time. And that's the max. Most of the time, if you play the game right, you'll only come across maybe 3 to 5 people at the same time.
Yeah, I will say the thing is that people, and this is what I was afraid about Indiana Jones. I feel like people going into this game wanting it to be Uncharted and Tomb Raider, but I
feel like that's a realistic
comparison. It is, but the thing is, they had to make it its own thing, and so yeah, it stands up. Like I won't tell you if it's like better in Uncharted or anything like that. No, I feel like it's in its own lane. I feel like they went the only lane they can go because Tomb Raider and Uncharted exists. For example, you know how we complain about like how Laura and like Nathan Drake, they're like mass murderers and freaking because it's the shit that they do, and their commentary is kind of like very nonchalant. So what they did with Indiana Jones is like really. Now I think about this, he's not killing anyone, but he's just knocking them out. Like he's fighting them, like he'll knock them out cold.
Indiana Jones is definitely killing people.
No, not till you bring out. You know why? Your first encounter with Tony Todd. You how many times you fight his character in this game?
And I'm not saying there are people he doesn't. It's like Spider-Man. He's not supposed to kill people, and most of the time in the cutscenes and stuff, he's not killing people. But Jack, if you kick a motherfucker off a big ass building,
I'm not talking to that degree, bro.
There's a time I was on the very top of a building, and I hit him with the blunt of because in Jack in this game, like guns are more useful if you flip them around and hit people with them. And so I hit someone, and keep in mind I don't want to get seen because in this game, if you get seen. Unless you silence that dude very quickly, it's game over. Like you're dead. So I hit him and he starts to like full backwards, then he goes over the railing. I'm like, no! Like, he falls.
Because he
in the middle of like 5 or 6 people. They all like, what's going on? And now they're all like scattering, trying to find me. And I'm just like, now I'm going straight to where I'm supposed to go because it's a matter of time before they come up here.
I feel like the game it sets itself apart because it's well balanced between combat. The combat isn't shoot 'em up. It's melee combat. Jack, if you like Callisto Protocol, right? You know how like we kind of learn to appreciate its combat, its attempt on its combat. That's exactly what Indiana Jones is to like Uncharted and Tomb Raider. Is like, all right, we're not gonna be like a shooter. We're gonna more focus on the melee. Like, obviously, you're gonna have to dodge, duck. You can parry, you can block with the trigger. Exactly how it is in freaking Callisto Protocol. How we play that game. That's exactly. I was like, okay, I can actually appreciate this because they try to benefit you more playing that way. Sure, you can pick up a gun because they have guns laying around, and then he has his pistol that you can use. But the way that they treat it is that once you let it go, that it tells all the NPCs to let their guns go, and you're always going to be outgunned. So, like for example, what I learned, unless you're in like different like military bases, they're not going to fire a shot at you until you fire a shot, or if you otherwise they're just going to come at you with batons, bats, and fists, which I mean, like your chances, no matter if it's like 3 or 4 of them. The other thing is that the balancing from combat to puzzles to platforming, there's a nice mixture of it. It's like you're never going to feel like you're doing too much of one at any point. And the thing is, they're all like, I want to say equal. Like there's a lot of puzzles in the game. Like the puzzles associated with the main quest, they're obviously a little bit easier to do. But the minute you try to do something like if you try to trophy hunt and do some of those side ones, those are some of like the toughest puzzles in the game. And they're rightfully challenging too. There's a lot of collectibles. This game encourages you to do like nook and cranny searching and stuff like that in a way that you upgrade your character. The way that you progress through the game is that there is by either exploring, doing side quests. And what happens is they give you like books. The books are like skills you can learn, and then doing quests, main quests, side quests, and finding collectibles give you adventure points. Those adventure points allow you to spend money to unlock those new skills. Like there's in a game you have to. I'll give you an example. Like at some point in the game you have to get like something to put on your mouth, like a breather or something, so you can go deep underwater for long periods of time. But in order to get it, you have to buy it. You can't just earn it. You have to have the funds to buy it. Problem is money. You don't just walk around getting money in the game. The only way to get money is to find it or do some side quests. So that's the game's way of telling you do some side quests so you can afford this. And so you'll go to the vendor and he'll give you a price for it. If you ain't got it, you can't get it. But the thing is, you need that to actually progress. And it's not like you have to do anything impossible. The game is yet only so big. It's not an open world game. It's very wide. I'm trying to think, what can you compare it to? Because it's bigger than what I expected it to be. It's not like a linear A to B game. It's literally like once you get to a biome, you kind of have like this grand scope to do whatever it is you want, any sort of order that you want to do it in until you've pretty much cleaned up the area.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm intrigued by the Indiana Jones. Like I said, I don't know too much about the lore, but y'all are making a great case for this game right now. Smooth, you kind of touched on this a little bit in your last answer. So another complaint the community had. The streets be talking.
Yep.
They were saying this game don't look like you got a lot of gun combat. But according to what you're saying, well, let me just ask you: were you satisfied with the amount of gun combat? Is it too much? Is it not enough? But it sounded like you was cool with the.
It's pretty much the only way I can answer it, because this is exactly how I felt going into Callisto Protocol. Everybody was turned off the minute they learned that you gotta be swinging bats and shit around, right? Because they wanted what's that game? Dead Space. That's what they wanted. And I was like, I ended up going into the Callisto Protocol, and I ended up enjoying that way more than I enjoyed Dead Space. So the thing is that me personally, when Indiana Jones was like announced, I wanted Uncharted. I wanted Xbox's Uncharted, and I know what I'm getting from Uncharted. So the thing is it's not a first person shooter. So if you want Doom or Wolfenstein, this is not it. You can definitely get it because the way that this game is, they try to give you much freedom as possible. It's like, hey, we prefer you to play this way, but if you want to shoot it up, you know, you definitely can find guns. So the guns are like literally like when you sneak onto like base camps and stuff like that, you can take guns literally right off the AI. Like you use your whip and they'll pull their gun. You can use your whip, snack it out of hand. They can throw shit at you. You can catch shit. You can catch them. You can catch it in midair. Or if you're in a base camp, they'll have shotguns, machine guns ready. The only thing is you're limited to that ammo that's there. It's not like you have like a weapon wheel of just a bunch of guns. That's not happening. So from that perspective, and there's no traditional aim down sight. There's no traditional ADS. So it's not your traditional like shooting game. You're not going to be running through this shooter. You're going to have missions where it would be best for you to pick up a gun because it just works out better, but you're not going to spend the entire game shooting your way out. You start off the game with like a pistol that only has 6 bullets, and that's it until you find some more ammo. Other than that, you probably spend more time smacking someone with the butt of a gun than you are shooting them.
Yeah, I would agree. If you going in here with the assumption that you're going to be shooting like that, I can be honest with you, Jack. Most of the time that I try to shoot people ended with me dead. There wasn't too many situations where I used a gun at all in this game.
That's interesting.
I think that's the whole point. Like even if you look at indie, like what I appreciate with machine games and Bethesda is like they did more to respect the lore than like a Halo scenario. Like indie don't be going around just shooting people like that. Indie don't go around like being a mass murder or anything like that.
A lot of his stuff is accidental.
Yeah, he's a very goofy individual, and I think they deliberately did what they did in terms of they did what they did in terms of the guns deliberately because they didn't want you to rely on the guns too much. Are the guns not reliable? No, they're reliable. But the problem is you'll kill 2 people and you're out.
Yeah. You ain't taking no more than 2 people down with the gun.
And you'll have to either see you could do that and then you could switch and just start using it to beat people down and then pick up their gun. I will say the shotguns are pretty effective though. Like one shot pretty much kills someone with a shotgun. Depending on who they are. So the shotguns are a little bit more effective than the rest, but that's about it.
And I say that to say this is even though the game is not gun heavy, it is combat heavy. There's a lot of combat and there's weapons all throughout the game. Now everywhere you walk, there's something you can pick up. It's like the game is very interactive. There's anything can be used as a weapon, whether it's a broom, hammer, pot, glass bottle. It either be used as a weapon or a distraction. You'll find things that you can pick up and use to your to pretty much to get by. The thing is that the combat, because they did that, the combat itself had to be satisfying, and the hand-to-hand combat and the melee, the melee weapon combat is very satisfying, and I like the little, the song and dance like what you have to do when you're fighting someone. Yeah, they obviously the AI they'd rather duke it out with you or hit you with a baton or something like that, because the way that the game is, they want you to like pretty much square off, like when to block, when to dodge, when to use the left hand or the right hook. That's how it wants to like you to engage in combat. So that's why a lot of the people that's around there, a lot of them don't have guns. Some of them will walk around with a baton and stuff like that, or a bat or something like that, or they'll just come out.
Lots of people got guns though. You'll get shot.
Yeah, once you're dealing with like the more so the military people, but then when you notice when you're dealing with those, you're in a situation where guns are around more often.
Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay, so man, I y'all doing a good job of selling me on this game. I'm still on the okay. I think this is my last question. Is there anything else? Me personally, y'all know what type of games I like. Is there anything else that y'all need to tell me that would sell me on this game? Because y'all doing a good job. I can't lie. Y'all doing a good job right
I think if you want an experience that doesn't solely focus on being a shoot up type of game that has a solid story, really good collectibles. I'm not necessarily more into the collectibles than most people. I prefer to like beeline straight through the thing. Very decent open hub worlds that have a lot of activities. There's 3 really big open hub worlds. Lots to do in them. Very unique puzzles that has like a lot of immersion because they're in first person. Like, there's a lot of like really good puzzles in this game.
Yeah,
I think you would enjoy it.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say a couple of things. Jack, it's a fun platinum. It will be a fun platinum run, and I say that only because the stuff that you have to do. It's not like when you're like off the main quest. It's not like you're doing a bunch of I haven't done the same exact thing twice yet. The thing you're always going to do, you're always going to take like pictures and stuff because you need that for your notes. Is that they have a certain way of you keeping track of things. So when you come up to like puzzles or mysteries that you have to resolve, you'll realize that you have a bunch of tips in your book that you just took down just from like walking in areas or taking pictures and whatnot. If you like doing like puzzles, if you like, looking for shit or looking for collectibles and stuff like that, and if you want like a platinum that's not going to take you 100 hours, but I feel like it'll be like a satisfying platinum because you didn't have to do anything annoying to actually get it. And that's the one thing I did notice is like I haven't done like it's not how you have that.
I think this is gonna be a lot harder to platinum than you think.
No, it's gonna be harder, but it's gonna be well worth it. I don't think it's gonna take hundreds of hours.
There's a lot of collectibles in this game.
But I don't think it'll take hundreds of hours because I think I'm 50. I think
what realistic games?
I think I'm at like 60% of.
How many games takes hundreds of hours of platinum? Stop
It's some tedious ones. It is some tedious.
That's what I'm trying to. It's not tedious.
Far in between. Most games probably take anywhere from 50 to 80 hours to platinum.
So what I meant to say, it's not tedious. It's not. You're not gonna have to do anything repetitive to get it. Everything you're gonna have to do a lot, but a lot of this stuff is unique, though. That's the thing I appreciate about the collectibles so far. I haven't really done the same thing twice.
And you know what they do, Jack? They get you with the initial like story puzzles are pretty difficult, not hard enough. Like they're not really really hard, but they're not really really easy. But then if you go on the sideline and do some of the side puzzles and do some of the side quests, those shits are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping I could get some of them done so I could be the first to put up a guide. I was like, damn, I'll have to wait till a guide come out. Like, nah, I spent literally 58 minutes on one puzzle. I was mad as hell. I was like, I literally delayed myself beating this game by a day because of this puzzle. But no, they're pretty decent. And I think a lot of people that's in this game, I think you appreciate in terms of like actors and whatnot. It nails on a lot of that stuff though. What's
his name from the beginning? The big black dude. He did
Tony
a really
Todd.
good job.
Tony Todd.
Yeah. I definitely want to see him in it. Yeah, just recently passed away.
That was like one of the last things he did, wasn't it?
Yep.
It would have had to be. Yeah. So, it has a crazy. What's it? Without spoil, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it does have a crazy like reveal of like how this all thing comes together. I thought they did a good job with that too. So, one thing, set pieces. They have some dope set pieces. That's what it is. Set pieces.
I will say, their set pieces are good, just like Uncharted. But I will say Uncharted does set pieces better.
And that's probably because the Uncharted is a third-person action game. You kind of get where some of these the set pieces here, like Indiana Jones switches from first to third person in some cases.
Which
so
I think was a mistake. They should.
Is that jarring? Is that like a jarring situation?
It doesn't happen as much as you would think.
Actually, it happens fairly often, depending on how you play the game. Because
what didn't happen to me as much.
Yeah, so it really all depends on, and I don't think it's jarring to the point of like, oh my god, it's how they pan the camera and everything. It's like they want you to see it. They want you to see him and who he is, especially because there's things you're gonna be doing in this game that requires you to like change your uniform. There's a lot of traversing in the game, and every time you traverse, you're in third person. Every time you swing on a rope to the platforming. You're going to be in third person. Obviously, cutscenes are in third person, and just certain sequences that they'll have you do, the camera will have to go into third person. It'll happen enough, you'll be used to it like an hour into the game. So
yeah, pretty much from what y'all saying, y'all think this is a hit. Y'all think this?
I personally think it's a hit. I just think I'm just afraid that people. I think if the game's going to get hit, it's going to get hit because it's not Uncharted and Tomb Raider, and it's not a third-person action game. I think that's the only. But I was like, if people play it for like what it is. If people play it for what it is one of the better games that came out this year, in my opinion.
Okay, so I asked the Weaponwood Discord. So you got your stuff. You could take off now, Jack, if you want. I don't want to keep you around. Got probably other stuff you got to do.
All right. Well, look, I appreciate y'all, boys. From what y'all telling me, I am gonna have to put this on my watch list now.
Look, do I think this is gonna be like? Don't go in here expecting like an Uncharted experience.
No.
You're gonna get something similar, but not what Uncharted offers. Because I feel like a lot of Uncharted is the action base. This game offers more adventure than the action.
I think I gotta watch the movie. I think that's really my hang up. I gotta watch these movies, man. They on Disney Plus. I need to just, you know what I mean? Sit down and watch the movies. I think that'll really.
All right, then watch Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. That's it. You don't need to go any. Those are the only two you need to watch. If
that's the first two.
Is it? I think. I know the game takes place in between both of them. That's the timeline, the timeline. So that's that's the only ones I would end up bother watching.
Okay.
Because I think this one is directly after the first one, right?
Yeah, I mean it's 1930. Depends.
To be honest with you, Jack, this game feels like a lost Indiana Jones movie that we never saw.
Yeah. Yep. Because
that's high praise right there. If you ask me, that's a good. That's good.
But yeah, I mean, oh damn, we did. I'll ask you this, Alec. What is your verdict on this game?
My verdict is, if you like collectibles, if you like puzzles, if you like a really detailed story that actually has a pretty good twist, and I'm pretty sure Smooth can attest to that. It's got a good twist, stuff that I didn't see coming. I think you would enjoy it. But if you go in here expecting a bunch of action, I will say if you go in here expecting a stealth game, that's not what this is. This game has stealth-like elements, but I would say it's not a good stealth game.
Okay. What's the score?
8 out of 10.
Okay. I'm going with. It's one of my favorite games. I'm not sure if it's I'll say this. It's one of my top 3 favorite games this year. I would score. I'm scoring what I think it's going to score, and I think it's a fair score. I would say 8.5 out of 10.
I think it's gonna be early 8s. Anywhere from 8 to 8.4.
You got a bet on this move?
Yeah, it has to be 85 or better.
Oh wow!
See, here's the thing. I think there is a chance Smooth could win that bet because, like, the problem with the industry is the people who review are very fickle. I don't know, like, if a lot of people play. It just depends on who reviews it. Like, if Indiana Jones fans review it, people that hate Indiana Jones trying to get sold on Indiana Jones review it. Do they got a bunch of Dishonored people reviewing it? Like, it depends on who reviews the game. Because if a lot of people that like Indiana Jones but don't really have a whole lot of connection to like a lot of stealth games, the game can rate pretty high at that point. Because when you start eliminating the faults to people that would care about those, you would naturally get better scores.
I just honestly think the story is just extremely strong, and the gameplay loop. It has a good story and a good gameplay loop, and I think that they executed well on that. So I'm like, I'm trying to see where I was trying to figure out where it could miss. It's like, all right, is someone really going to judge it because the game didn't perfect the stealth in terms of you're sneaking around, which it's not that they ain't perfected, but you also have to do a lot of unlocking to maximize all your abilities anyway. So it's like somebody who, you know, took the time and got all the books and got all the collectibles and maximized all Indy's abilities might have had a better time with some of these things than someone who didn't, who just tried to rush through it and just went straight mission, and then they got like a quarter of like the health that the average person should have. I feel like the two things that people feel like they care about, what critics care about, music and story and gameplay, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? I feel like they excel in a lot of things that people care about. So I think I don't see it. There's no way to me, I don't think there's no way it's a 7. And I would be. I don't think it'll do a 90 because I feel like it's just that the type of game it isn't broad enough for it to be a 90.
Here's the thing. I don't think this thing even remotely closest touches the 9s, but I do see it hitting the 7s because the AI is not the greatest, and the stealthing with the AI really hurts it too. So like I said, it depends who reviews it. If you get a bunch of people that, you know, because this game has kind of been promoted as a stealth-like game, and they love Dishonored. I don't think it was
ever promoted as a stealth game.
Do you think this game was promoted as a stealth game, Jack?
No, I wouldn't say so.
But I would say it wasn't promoted as an action adventure game either.
It was promoted as an adventure action game. That's all.
Yeah, like a puzzle type. Yeah.
And then, you know, if you guys see that I'm just one person, you guys outnumber me, then maybe it will review well. But I do feel like a lot of people, because I went into this expecting more stealth mechanics.
All right, I'm gonna tell you this: the Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, which is their last game, scored an 87.
Yeah, but I don't think this is gonna touch that.
I think this is a better game, though.
I think this is gonna be like 81, 82, 83.
I feel like this is a better game, more approachable game.
83 is a decent score, though, Smooth. That ain't.
No, it's decent, but it ain't enough to make me win.
What I will say is, if it did get up there in the 85, 86, 87, I wouldn't be mad because I could see how people can see that kind of score from this game. But me, I think it's an 81, 82, 83.
I'm at an 85 to 88.
Oh, I'm sure you're at an 85. I'm sure you're at an 85.
I mean, I would 85. Yeah, I would have. But the thing is that I'm just struggling to see. Maybe I just gotta watch every other people's reviews and see what it is. Because the thing is that, you know, I played it. Maybe I'm just too. Maybe it's just easy to amuse me with some with video games, but. But I can't find anything to the point where I'm like where I can't recommend the game. There's nothing I can't recommend about. I feel like it has something for everyone.
Let's not keep spinning in circles.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about we'll talk about it next Planet Xbox, what it rates. So go ahead and finish this out here. Someone did want to ask about the performance. I felt solid performance the whole game on the Xbox.
Yeah, it's a 4K 60 target on the Xbox Series X, and I think it also includes ray tracing. I say that because they be doing devs be doing tricks, but this game, all modes on PC. Is ray tracing is default, so I can only assume on console is default because there's places that has like decent reflections in this game where I feel like if you weren't going to use ray tracing, you probably wouldn't even bother doing screen space in some of these areas, but it made sense. The graphic quality is pretty decent. Obviously not the best looking game, but for what they're doing, they're maintaining 60 FPS at a high resolution. On the technical aspect, one thing I did peep, I don't know if you peeped this, Addict, but and I think this is probably the reason why they were able to maintain high frame rates. Things in the distance, like NPCs in the distance, they move at half rate. So once they come within your like playable area, their frame rate is within the frame rate of the game. So there's technical cheats that they're doing in the distance that allows them to, you know, have the game run efficiently. But the thing is, when you do see that though, it is kind of jarring when you're seeing like, the game's moving and you're looking in the distance, you see somebody moving, but they're kind of moving at like, imagine the game 60 FPS, but you see something in the distance moving at like 30 or less. It looks like was it South of Midnight, but in the distance, like not the game itself, but like that character in the distance. Literally, it's like stop motion. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Anybody else ask a question on the technicals?
That's about it.
Okay, but yeah, I can't wait to give it a try on PC though. I thought I didn't reason why I didn't request the play on PC because I feel like I was like if they're targeting, there's no performance mode. There's no 30 FPS mode. It's just whatever it is, which is 4K 60. So that's a good, and but I really want to try it on PC just to see, because I want to see. I'm hoping. I just want to see if I can see how high I can get it on the performance. But the specs came out. They look very like you need like a high end PC, but they're all targeting 60 FPS. So I'm curious if they put a cap on it. I hope not. I talked to somebody who might have played or reviewed the game on PC. Maybe I'm pretty sure ACG has access to it. He probably did it on PC. See if what he was able to do. But nah, man, Indiana Jones out December 9th, out December 5th. If you have early access, it's on Xbox Game Pass, PC, Steam. Comes out on PlayStation, I think sometime in April. Yeah, PlayStation sometime in April. It's probably for sure going to have a pro and enhancement. I don't know what it would actually do, honestly, in comparison. But hey, but I recommend, regardless, no matter where you play it on, I do recommend the game. I think it's pretty dope. Good story, and it looks like a good run for a platinum or 100% completion. And this game's gonna also be supported with an expansion, single player expansion, fairly soon. That's a part of the I think the $100 premium edition that you get. Which is good. I always love a single player game that supports the game with story content. So, ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining Planet Xbox. Shout out to Weapon Will Patreon. We are out of here. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best spot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. Shout out to Jack Moo for coming through, and to all of yous watching. Peace.